Hi, this is Hester Vaughan from Lifestyle Coach, and this is my synopsis of the changes to the Discovery Health program for next year. You know, you've got until the 15th of December every year to choose your different Discovery Health option. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of any of the changes that have occurred for next year. And then you can decide which one, what you want to do. But there haven't actually been that many changes, so I'm going to whisk through those changes. But mainly I thought this time what I'll do is go through the different plan options, because in my practice I have encountered mostly people are just really unsure whether they are on the right plan choice. So I'm going to quickly do like a 2 or 3 liner on every different plan, and then it might help you to see whether you have been on the right plan. Okay, so by now you would have all received your increase letters, and so for next year, the 3 plans with the highest increases are the 3 plans that are actually running close to a loss or at a loss, and so they have to have high increases, and those are the coastal plans for people living at the coast, the classic comprehensive plans and executive. Those are the 2 highest plan types that you can choose on Discovery, the most comprehensive, and then the key care plans, which are for lower income earners and for students. So those are all at 10.9%, whereas all the other plans are at 8.9%. So either you are really working the plan well in the case of the classic comprehensive or key care, and you feel that it's the right plan for you from a point, like from benefits versus what you're paying. But if you are on the coastal plans, you might want to consider moving to another plan. So in my opinion, and this is just the disclaimer, this video is my opinion, so any errors are mine alone, and you can check all the details on the Discovery's website. So in my opinion, the classic smart plans and the Delta plans are the best value for money on the Discovery platform. So I'm going to go through all of those just very briefly. So just the few little updates. People on the executive plan, which is the highest plan, now have to pay a co-payment when they go for a CT or an MRI scan or a scope, whereas everybody else has already been paying co-payments. And remember, if you have a good gap cover alongside those, the gap cover will pay those co-payments. So it's really valuable to take out a good gap cover. Then they are really wanting to get you to use the generic and preferential medicine on the price lists. And if you're not using those, there's only a small accumulation to your above threshold. Only people who are on those plans will know what that is, so just keep that in mind. On the classic smart plan, there's now a limit to how much medicine you're allowed to have, and it's now 2,500 Rand per family, maximum of 1,500 per member, but there's no co-payments. Then there's a couple of new hospitals on the Delta list and on the Smart list. Remember, those hospitals, you have to use specific hospitals. So have a look at your areas to see. So they've added, like in a few more outlying areas, they've added new hospitals. So that's quite exciting. Right, the biggest change that I see is in the day-to-day extender benefit. So for those of you who don't know what that is, if you're on a saver plan, so anything other than a core plan is hospital plan only, but on a saver plan, once your savings has run out, you are still eligible for either 4 GP visits if you're on a Delta, or 6 GP visits if you are on a saver plan, a coastal or classic saver. So that you could get for free as long as you went to see a Discovery Network GP. From next year, they are changing that. I think, in my view, they are trying to get us ready for NHI whenever it comes in. And it's pretty much how it works overseas, in the UK and in other European countries and in America. You can't just go and see a specialist. You have to go first to see the clinic nurse, then to see a GP, and then you'll be on a waiting list to see a specialist. Whereas we've been quite spoilt in South Africa. We can literally just go and see a specialist if we want to, and obviously we have to pay for it, but we can go and see them. Now you can't just go and see your GP for those free visits. They are wanting you to either have a video consult with a doctor, or you go and see a clinic nurse. So I'm not sure if many of you have used them, but so it's going to be at Dis-Chem and at certain pharmacies, they've got clinic nurses there, and they're incredibly user-friendly and very knowledgeable. So you can go and see the nurse at the clinic, who will then examine you, take your temperature, do your blood pressure, and then she can get the video consult with the GP online while you are there, and then between the two of them, he will give her the go-ahead to write you a script. So, or at that point, they'll agree that you are sick enough to actually see a physical GP, and then you will be able to go and see one. But the only downside of this is that one of those clinic nurses or the video consult with the doctor counts as one of your free visits. So that's a change for next year. So we're going to have to get used to that. I just wanted to quickly mention there's a new lab that you can use. You have your bloods done at the Dis-Chem clinic as well. And it's very well priced. So if you need to have a lot of blood tests done, that's a really good place to go. Right. Then I think that's it really for the changes. Oh yeah, just one new product that I just wanted to mention. It's called Primary Care. Up until now, it's only been available for business owners to use for their employees. And it's basically about 270 Rand a month. And they get to go for unlimited GP visits. And there's an HIV management program, flu vaccines, and all of this kind of some post-trauma counseling, things like that. Now Discovery have opened that up for us to, so you can use it for household employees. So if you have a housekeeper or a driver, you can take out this product on their behalf. And I just think that's a really wonderful way for us to be socially responsible. And yeah, so it's if you need to know any more about it, you can email us at hester@lifestylecoach.co.za or admin@lifestylecoach.co.za, and we'll tell you more about it. Right. Okay, so how to choose a plan type on Discovery. So right at the top end, you have the executive plans and the comprehensive plans. These plans have got the hospital coverage, then you've got a savings pot. Once you've finished your savings, you have to pay a little bit more out of your own pocket, which is called the self-payment gap, and then you get the above threshold benefit where Discovery kicks in again and starts to pay towards your care outside of hospital. Who is this right for? I often have people say, they want the best possible care for in hospital, and so they're going to pay to be on the highest plan. It's not actually always true that, you can have incredible care in hospital on one of the lower plans as long as you've got gap cover to add to that, which is a separate product, which you can also ask me about. But so the people who are eligible or are really good candidates for the classic comprehensive and executive plans are people who need a lot of medical expenses paid for outside of hospital. So if you have a lot of dental work that you need to have done, and you need glasses, and you need medicine, a lot of medicine, and you need to see the psychologist perhaps, or you need to see the physio often, that, especially one person or a lot of people in your family, then you're a good candidate. So what's a good idea to do is to check how much you've spent on premiums in the year for your medical aid option, and then add up how much you've spent in out-of-pocket expenses. And sometimes that is overwhelmingly so much higher than your premiums, and then you need to actually look at perhaps being on one of the higher plans so that you can actually can get better value for money. So those are the classic comprehensive and executive plans. I'm going to go right to the bottom from there, and those are the key care plans. So these are for lower income users, earners, and for students. I think they are absolutely amazing in that they kind of like your old-fashioned traditional medical aid used to be, in that they've got unlimited GP visits, blood tests, x-rays, specialists, medicine, everything is covered, and unlimited private hospital cover. You are limited as to which hospitals you're allowed to go to, and you are also limited to which GPs and specialists you can use. So that's quite limited. There is also, you're limited because of your income. So this only really makes sense if you are earning less than 13, I think it's 13, well, I don't know what the new salary band is, but it's in that region, 13 or 14,000 Rand. Then it really makes sense because it's subsidized. So you can get a plan type that's worth about 2,500 Rand, about 2,500 Rand for about 1,200 Rand. So it's a really wonderful product. You just need to know there are a list of procedures that are not covered, and I call them inaccurately, but it's just for ease of understanding, kind of your wear and tear operations. The ones that are not completely life and death threatening. So things like varicose vein operations, sinus ops, wisdom teeth, and then conservative back and neck treatment. So if you choose one of these plans, also for students, just be aware, go through that list of operations that are not covered, and make sure that you are comfortable with those procedures not being covered. Then my two favorite plans on Discovery are the Classic Smart and the Essential Delta Saver. So for me, I think these are the best value for money. So the Classic Smart is a wonderful plan to be on if you're a young person, or even if you are a family with young children, because for marginally more expensive than just a straight hospital plan, you get a huge amount of extra benefits, like unlimited GP visits as long as you go to a smart GP. So it's also a Discovery Network GP, but there's a larger list of these GPs. You get a dental visit, which is the visit, a clean and just the x-rays, I think it is, and you get an eye test per member. And you get the sports injury benefit, which is if you are injured while doing sport, you get 2 visits to a specialist, you get x-rays, and then 4 visits to either a physio, a chiro, or biokineticist to rehab that injury. And for each of these visits, you pay $100. So for me, and you are covered for MRI and CT scan. So for me, this is just such a wonderful plan, such a good value for money plan. You also get medicine up to R2,500 for the family scripts. So for example, like antibiotics or a rash cream that your doctor has prescribed. And then you get R600 over-the-counter medication for the year. So Norflex Co and things like that. So if I had to choose between a straight hospital plan and the Classic Smart plan, it's hands down a winner that I'm going to go for the Classic Smart plan because of all those benefits. The one thing is that you are limited to which hospitals you can use. So you need to go and look at the Classic Smart list of hospitals in your area to see if it will work for you. So if it's an emergency, you can go to any private hospital. But if it's a planned procedure, you have to go to a hospital in your network. Otherwise, you will pay a large penalty. So you need to know how to work it. But if you do, it's an excellent plan. And then there's the Essential Delta Saver plan. This is for people who don't necessarily go to the GP a lot, and they would prefer to have a savings pot, which then you can use for whatever you like. So if you want to buy a pair of glasses, spectacles, that is, not sunglasses, if you would like to have dental work done, you would, or even to pay for a gynae visit, then you might prefer just having the savings pot that you can then use for whichever medical expenses you would like. What I like about it is the discounts on the hospital side. So if you're a family of anything from 3, 4, 5, it starts to make a huge difference year on year. That's savings. It's roughly about a 20% saving on the hospital portion of your premium, which is the biggest part of your premium. So again, just like the smart plans, you have to go to a Delta hospital. So again, for an emergency, any private hospital. But if it's a planned procedure, you have to go to one of the Delta hospitals. So for me, those two plans are the best. I'm not a fan of a core plan, so Coastal Core, Essential Core, Classic Core, because people are not really aware of the fact that you have no cover for MRI and CT scans on that plan out of hospital. So that can sometimes bite you. And there's also no rehab benefit on that plan, which is if you've been in a very bad accident, the trigger is 4 nights in ICU, Discovery will pay for up to 2 years for your rehabilitation. You do not have that benefit on a core plan. So if you are on a core plan, again, you can send me an email and I will advise you rather to be on a different plan choice. And it doesn't have to cost a huge amount of extra money, like the Classic Smart as an option, as an example. Yeah, that's it really. The classic plans, the only difference between the classic and the essential or the coastal plans are you have a cover for 200% versus 100% in hospital. Classic means 200%, coastal and essential means 100%. For me, it's a bit of a moot point. Oh, sorry, and you get an extra amount of savings in your pot. To me, it doesn't really make sense to be on these plans if you have a proper gap cover, because remember, gap cover can give you up to 500% in hospital cover as opposed to the 200% or the 100%. So I'm not a fan of being on those plans. And then you get the priority plans. These are also quite a peculiar plan type. They're not my favorite either, again, in my opinion, because they work like the comprehensive plans where they have an above threshold benefit where discovery kicks in again once you've finished your savings. But your self-payment gap is much bigger and your above threshold portion is much smaller in that there are limits that kick in and then it stops. Also on the priority plans, there's a whole list of operations that you have to pay co-payments on, which you don't have to do on any of the other plan types. So again, if you're on a priority plan, just have a good think and a read through those co-payments because they can be a bit hefty. So for me, you're either on a comprehensive plan if you're a very heavy user of out-of-hospital expenses, and again, you can change it from year on year, or you are on the key care plan according to your affordability, or if you're a student perhaps, or you're on, in my opinion, Classic Smart or Essential Delta Saver. Those that's where I tip my hat. Those are the best ones. Well, that's it. I hope that this has been helpful. You can have a look, as I said, on our website or send me an email if you need any further advice. Thank you.